Welcome to the tutorial video where we're going to talk about how to make this toy rocking horse using Extrudalizer, and so it will work in Lottie files. So here is a pretty straightforward, simple vector artwork for a rocking horse, which I've separated into several elements that I'm planning on using later, like the rocker, the ear, so we can have two ears on the head that will be one behind the mane and one in front of the mane. The mane, the body, and then the inner rocker, but we probably won't need that because we'll just use the front one. And then I went ahead and simplified this into the shapes that I'm actually going to extrudalize, and then I will map this artwork to the extruded shapes. So here's the simplified shape. I'm going to use the shape of the rocker. I'm going to use the shape of the body, and then the shape of the body with the legs, and I will show you why. The shape of the mane and the shape of the ear. And what's also important is to make sure that the shapes that you're going to extrudalize are smaller than the artwork. So the artwork will cover all of the shape. That's what's important. And I made it using straight segments because it will make life easier when I'm extruding it. So now that all this artwork is prepared, we can move to After Effects, and we'll proceed with the rest of the tutorial. Okay, so let's start with the rocker. We don't really care about the gradients on the front or on the sides because we're going to map artwork. 5-point Bezier curves are sufficient. So let's go ahead and extrudalize the rocker. So here just warns us that if we will disable path and mask previews in the comp viewer, it will improve performance. But we don't care about this now, so we'll just leave it alone. So one important thing to note, that it is essential that we will make sure that all of the shapes we're going to extrude will have the same anchor point, and in this way we can make sure that when we rotate everything, it will rotate in sync. So let's enable our rulers and let's place And one thing we need to do is move it out on the z-axis, because we're going to make sure it's on the outside. So if the center of the body is going to be 50 pixels wide, and the outer body and the inner body is going to be 20 pixels wide, that means we need to take half of 50, which is 25, and half of 10, which is going to be 10. Half of 20, which is going to be 10. So negative 35 pixels, that's going to be how far this needs to be. Great. Now, so let's do the center body. All right, so if we will just copy the rocker position, and we'll put it in the center body. So we have the anchor point in the same place. Now we just need to position the body in the 3D space back to where it needs to be. Okay, that seems pretty good. Now we will have two rockers. So what we're going to do is we're going to parent the rotation properties of the rocker to the rotation properties of the center of the body. So we just do simple parenting here, X, Y, Z. The center body will be where we control everything. One thing we need to make sure that, because this is going to be inside the pre-comp, we need to make sure that we identify the composition here. Instead of this comp, we write comp toy horse. And we can copy paste this. Now let's pre-comp this, and we need to make sure we always take it together with the extra data layer, because this is where all the calculations are made, and it always needs to be immediately below your extruded layer. Now let's do the outer body. Now let's pre-comp this. Oh, we forgot to parent it. So let's copy all the parenting from here. So now let's extrude the mane and then the ears. So the mane we want to be, let's say, 30 pixels wide, and all we really need to do is just great. All right, now let's map the artwork and make it all cool. And let's start with the outer body. So we click on the map art button. We say that we want to map the back, because that's what we're going to be actually seeing, right? And we want it to be Lottie compatible, so we check this box. Okay. Now we have a template for our artwork. And it's invisible now because the back is invisible. But let's first actually position the toy in a way that we want it to, in the way that we want to see it. Right, everything is parented to this. So let's rotate it. Okay. Now we see through the pre-composition. Okay, so what do we have as an issue here? First, our rocker is actually too thick, so let's make it thinner. Also 20 pixels. Okay. Alright, our center body transparency, let's bump it up. Okay, so it looks like we didn't calculate correctly the position of the outer body. So let's go here and let's look at its Z position. So probably minus 35 minus 55. Let's see, how does that look? That looks a little better. Oh, actually, wrong. Right. the issue. Here we are. Okay, now we can just position the center body so it fits a little bit better. Okay, that seems pretty good. Perfect. Okay. And now we can duplicate the body, the ear, and the rocker, and then put them at the bottom of the stack, and then the body, and this. Let's just position it there. We go. And then the rocker. All right, now let's go back to mapping the artwork. So here the process is very simple. So we have a template that we're going to use. So we're going to go to the toy horse artwork. We're going to take the body and just copy the group that contains all the artwork, not the layer, just the group. Then go back to the outer body and then twirl open the artwork layer, and there is artwork wrapper group. We select that and paste the artwork inside. It's probably placed in the wrong place, but we can just drag and grab it into place. Here we are. So now we just want to nudge it to make sure that the artwork fits fully and covers the entirety of the template. And if some of it, like right here, doesn't, we can select the pen tool and fix it up. It doesn't matter by how much, so long as it's covered, because it's going to be all masked out. Then we can hide the origin, path, and stroke, because we don't need it. Then we can take this back, and then there are two check boxes: enable transforms and enable the mask. And voila, it's mapped perfectly to the face. And it seems like there's a little bit out here. Let's check this out. There we are. Good. All right. Now, let's adjust the colors of the sides. I'm thinking it should be in this like brown range, a little bit darker than the lighter portions, maybe even a little bit darker. Okay, like this. Let's hide it. So you see those lines? This is just the way that the vectors are calculated. If we want to hide this, we can do a very simple trick. We can change the edge stroke color to be the same as the sides and just give it a bit of an edge. And voila, it's all hidden. Great. So if we go back to the toy horse, now we can see that we have a copy there, which works out pretty well. Now we can take the center body, and in the center body we only care about the sides. We will actually later can delete the front and the back just so we can make the final export lighter. And then we just use this color for the sides, and here we can add stroke. And here we have the whole body done. Now, we can do the mane. And all we want it to be is like a dark brown. Right, so we want the back to be like dark brown, like this, like reddish brown. Maybe even a little bit darker. Okay. And then the sides, we want it to be a little less dark. There we go. Now the ear. And here we have the horse. So we probably didn't hide the anchors and the body parts. Yeah. And did we hide the body part? There we go. And here. Okay. Perfect. Now let's animate the rocking. So let's go from -15 and let's make the rocking cycle, let's say 4 seconds long. And go to 15. Yep. Let's easy ease those. And we're done, and we can actually also do a couple of small things to make it even more fun. We can make the horse blink, and we can do this pretty simply by going here, and we can select the artwork layer. Let's hide the body. Let's disable the mask and artwork, and then let's just animate the path. Make it visible. blink. Actually, don't need this one. Okay, that's pretty good. And let's also animate the brow. And then let's go back. Ease those. Good. And we can have one eye blink here. Maybe here, and then we'll have a double eye blink here. Second one just a little bit longer. Okay. And then another one towards the end. There we go. And now let's put the artwork back. And make this visible. Perfect. Now, the last part is we need to make sure that the ear, oh, we need the second ear. We need to position it. There we go. And then we also need to make sure that when we're rocking, here's our cycle, 8 seconds. And then the ear needs to be just split a little bit. Oh, we also need to loop this so it goes back and forth. Great. So here, if you see right here, we start seeing the bottom of the ear because actually it's sitting above the outer body. But at the moment when we just start seeing it, right here, we'll split the layer and put this under the body. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. And we need to do the same thing up front. You see it? And I think we also need to move the mane a little bit lower. And we have a rocking horse.